I want to talk about another investment opportunity now, also an iconic building, a building that is now the largest green building fully constructed in the United States, a building that was built by, in part, the Durst organization, which is recognized in the kind of green building world as the family that was well out ahead, willing to take risks and commitments to be on the cutting edge and the bleeding edge, even of key technologies, well before anyone else, well before there was a US Green Building Council or a LEED standard. And now they're not just well before that, but I think they're making sure that they're doing everything they can to be beyond LEED and to be beyond just what is become a current standard, but to be always at the edge of it. And Helena Durst is someone who is now engaged as a critical player on a number of their projects. She's going to tell us about this particular project. And again, from a responsible property investment standpoint, this was something that perhaps with some extra persuasive power of Doug Durst, perhaps just because of a whole combination of factors, Bank of America was willing to be the joint venturer in. And so that also gives it an interesting perspective in terms of organizations that are certainly not known well, they may be known for not making always the best financial decisions, but they are certainly not known for taking a project like a new building into any perspective other than dollars and cents. So, Helena, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the project?
So I'm going to talk about One Bryant Park, the Bank of America Tower, which is a 2.2 million square foot building. As mentioned before, it's a joint venture partnership with the Bank of America, and it was really all about timing. I think a huge amount of our success in most real estate has been about timing. When the bank came in and introduced themselves, or we were introduced to the bank, it was the time that the bank really wanted to develop in sustainability. And so we pushed them to start with the green building, and then they pushed us to do LEED Platinum. I just want to mention also that we have about 9 million square feet in Midtown Manhattan, and 8.5 million of that square feet is an ENERGY STAR rated commercial building. We also work with a residential firm, Phaneuf Associates, which created Durst Phaneuf Residential. Out of 1,700 units, about 1,000 of those units are in LEED certified buildings. So it's always been about the fundamentals for us, and it's always been about quality. And that's where we started off. We used LEED as a framework for ourselves, but it goes back to the basics, which is sustainable siting, material selection, as well as resource conservation. And we've been very fortunate, as I mentioned, it's been about timing, but because it's such a high quality building, we were able to capture the highest rents in 2008 with we were able to capture rents that peaked at $185 a square foot. Which was very successful for us. And we've also been able to look at what the building has been, how the building has been performing. We use a cogeneration plant which uses clean natural gas or compressed natural gas, which then creates heat as a cogeneration for our steam, for our heating of our building, as well as to be able to power a chiller plant. I want to talk a little bit about our chiller plant. Our chiller plant is different from most chiller plants. The conventional way that a developer builds a building is how they built it before, and they want to buy the biggest chiller plants they can, which usually means about 1,000-ton unit chiller plants. We did something different. We bought 4 separate chiller plants and made sure that they were to mix and match. So they're differently sized for usage, which goes into the point of what makes a building green or perform well is how it's used. This building is being used by the Bank of America, which earlier we said looks at the dollars and cents, and that means they want their traders working almost 24 hours a day. I go and I tell them all the time, I want you to turn your lights off. And they say, I'm doing it, but you know, we have to leave the lights on for the last guy in the building. Well, of course you do, but could you just turn your, they come back to us and say we're working on a program to be turning our lights off. But, so it's about the users. That's what my point I'm trying to get to, is it's about the users and how we looked at the base building to function better for those users. So even if they're not turning off their lights, we're a more energy sustainable building because we're producing our own energy on site that is then also has the effect of being able to heat the building. That also helps in the transmission of energy. When you transfer energy from off-site, you're likely to lose that energy the longer it goes. So a well-known energy plant in New York State is Indian Point. That's about 40 miles away. You're likely to lose up to 25% of your energy transmission. So it's looking at those types of technologies which makes sense. We also have an ice chiller plant, which is where we're making cool energy at night. We're storing it as a battery in ice. Ice we use effectively as a battery for ourselves at night. And then we melt that ice during the day, so we're not using as much peak hour usage, which is also more expensive and also pollutes more because the energy plants are going to be turning on dirtier machines, dirtier energy plants. The other thing that we've looked at is materials. Where are we getting our materials? All over throughout our building, if you ever have a chance to visit and you go to our bathrooms, we have something in there that's called ice stone. It's this really pretty material, and that material is made at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, as well as made out of post-consumer waste product glass, and then using cement. So this is something to be looking at the materials and then being able to try to create an economy and demand for those materials so that there's more supply. We also look at what is basics. The basics for us are things like a recyclable chute. We're both 4 Times Square and 1 Bryant Park are the tallest buildings that have a recycling chute. What this means is that we're able to get a cleaner paper stream. If you don't know, paper is the most recyclable material that comes out of the office market. And it's very important that that paper stream does not have any contaminants, food contaminants on it. And what we do to be able to get our tenants to be doing that is we take out the liners out of from underneath their desks. You have a small basket. We don't allow our tenants to have those liners. We're reducing the amount of plastic liners, and then we're having a cleaner stream due to all going into one spot into the loading dock. We also have bike parking. The other thing that we're very fortunate is that we are located in Midtown Manhattan, so there's lots of mass transit. I'm very fortunate that my grandfather liked to say that he always had to buy a piece of property that he could walk to, and luckily he lived in East Midtown. So we were fortunate enough to be able to invest in Times Square and have all these sustainable sites that are available to us. So it's really been, for us, it's the fundamentals. We worked off of 4 Times Square. We looked at what was actually functionable and very usable from that project. 2 things that we did do at 4 Times Square that we didn't do at 1 Bryant Park. We have fuel cells at 4 Times Square. Due to the economy of scale and other developers not buying fuel cells, it didn't make sense to put it into 1 Bryant Park. We also have solar panels on 4 Times Square on the 38th floor and up, right in the middle. It didn't work, it doesn't work in a vertical contact solar panels. They're really a horizontal technology. New York City's mostly a horizontal city, so it wasn't something that we looked at. So what our emphasis is on to look at what we've done before, use what works, and continue to implement it. Thank you.